Welcome back to Snapping Towels for episode 11. Cam Williams and Kyle Foote coming at you from New York City and the City of Angels. Kyle, how we doing?
Good as always. We had a little heat wave last week, but we're back to normal temperatures.
Good to hear it.
Yeah,
No blackouts this episode. No rolling blackouts.
no blackouts, but Penn had a little bit of a blackout in our first topic of conversation. Penn versus Brown was a serious upset on Snapping Towels.
Yeah, Brown really stunned Penn here. This is by far the worst Penn has looked all year. Penn didn't play well. I'll give a little bit of credit to Brown and their defense.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of credit to the Brown Bears.
Clearly the Penn fan.
But huge win for Brown, kind of clawing their way back into the Ivy League discussion. And Penn falling to 4-4. A month ago, if you had told me Penn was going to be 4-4, I would have told you you're crazy. But here we are.
That's a polite way to say it. Give credit to Devin McClain, though. 4 goals. He's been putting up numbers at attack all year long. If Brown doesn't show up, you can count on him and who's the other guy? 29.
The other attackman.
Look that up. You can count on those guys showing up every game, which we've seen. So I'm not surprised that their attack kind of had a day. I am surprised that Penn's defense couldn't really figure out how to stop them. And then on the other side of the ball, it helps when Penn shoots the ball at a very low clip from across the board.
Yeah, I mean, Penn shot the ball very, very poorly. Just to go back to Brown's attackman there, Devin McClain is number 29. Darian Cook is their other guy, number 2. Kind of a two-headed monster down there at attack. We should both know that. We've liked those guys all year. And one thing worth noting in this game, Brown's midfield has been pretty quiet for most of the year. They had 2 guys, Ryan Machete and Ryan Ogden, each have 2 and 2 from the midfield. Reed Machete, right? Reed Machete and Ryan Ogden.
We are really screwing up these Brown kids' names, dude.
I know.
This is insane.
I think we got to get one of them on the show just to get it right. Yeah. But for both of them to have 2 and 2 out of the midfield in this game, kind of unexpected 4-point contributors, probably was the ultimate difference here. But Penn shot the ball very, very poorly, 23% as a team. Sam Hanley shot the ball 10%, 1 goal on 10 shots. That's not going to get it done, especially when everybody's touting you as a first-team All-American. And Dylan Gregar only shot 25% himself. So just not a good day for the Penn offense.
At home, too.
Yeah, I got to give a lot of credit. So I was at first just kind of sandbagging Brown and giving them a little bit of credit on the defensive side. But their goalie, Connor Terrio, 13 saves, 4 big saves in the fourth quarter. Kid takes up a ton of cage. Huge game for him.
Yeah, I mean, going forward for Penn, this puts them at 1-4 in the Ivy League, which is outside looking in, you could say. They probably need some other teams to lose now. It's kind of out of their hands, which is unfortunate for a stacked Penn program that we were very excited about. And to see them almost not be in the Ivy League tournament discussion is definitely a step back, but it also is tribute to how hard it is to get an in-league win in that league, and also credit to the other teams in the league. Any given day.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting it's like the same situation they have next week with Harvard. Similar team to Brown. Just hungry, young, turning the corner, getting some recognition.
So Penn's actually 1-3 in the Ivy League, but they only have 2 Ivy League games remaining. They have Harvard at home, and they travel to Hanover to play Dartmouth. I think my bet is Penn takes care of
3-3.
Yeah, my bet is Penn takes care of business in those 2 games and ends up 3-3. But they're going to need some help from other teams now. They're 6th in the Ivy League as it stands right now. Obviously, got to be in the top 4. They're kind of fighting for that 4 spot. They're going to need some help. Brown has Yale next week, so that's going to be a really tough game. Look, it's I think it's unlikely that Brown has back-to-back wins over Penn and Yale, two teams that I think are top 7-8 teams in the country. They could, this is a crazy league, and Brown has proved that they are capable. But I think if Yale takes care of business next weekend, that helps Penn a lot. That kind of puts them on even footing with Brown, just in terms of record. But yeah, man, it's going to be a crazy run here to the Ivy League tournament for sure.
Yeah, you're never safe on Saturday afternoons in the Ivy League. Anyone can kind of get you, including Dartmouth at the bottom of the barrel in that league. They've been surprises of teams and putting some close scores up there. But a team that really took care of business, a snapping towels. I guess we say snapping towels favorites. The Finns.
Definitely favorites on this podcast. I think anybody that's listened to any of our episodes is probably wondering if either of us played at Jacksonville, coached at Jacksonville, or currently has a brother on the team. The answer to all three of those is no, but we love the Jacksonville Dolphins. We're also, we're pretty partial to the Richmond Spiders too. We like that program a lot.
I picked Richmond coming off the interview. I felt it was right. Dalton Young was giving us a good vibe. Like they had the right motion, the ocean going down to Jacksonville, no pun intended, right on the beach. But the Finns show up at home. They show up anywhere. The Finns show up, and it's the last time I doubt them. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah. The Dolphins are a really excellent team, top to bottom. I almost think that early to mid-season upset they suffered at the hands of Utah might have been a good thing. A little bit of an eye opener. Didn't have to sacrifice a conference game to do it. I think that was honestly a good thing. They were pretty hot off of some big wins, most notably Duke. But to kind of get a reality check like that against Utah about a month and a half ago, I think really kind of turned their season around. And for them to show up in a huge conference game like this, Richmond coming off a program win against Virginia, all the momentum on their side, for Jacksonville to really take care of business at home and continue to establish dominance in this conference is incredibly impressive. The job Colin Hinton, our boy Six, did on another friend of the pod, Dalton Young, was incredibly impressive. He was just everywhere Dalton Young went, Colin Hinton was in his midst. I think Dalton Young got the best of him once at the end of the third quarter. He had a really nice take off the end line as time was expiring and buried a pretty big goal for the Spiders to kind of gain some momentum to make it a pretty good fourth quarter. But aside from that one take, Colin Hinton was just all over him all game long.
Yeah, notably, I didn't see Jeremy Winston in.
I didn't see him either.
That was a little bit of a question mark. He's one of Jacksonville's main middies, initiators.
Coming off a 4-goal performance against High Point the week before, I believe, too, right?
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit of an eye-opener, but you never know what's going on. So hopefully we see him back next game. And I thought Richmond was a little careless early, looked a bit hungover from the UVA win, didn't look as sharp. And that can happen when you're coming from a game against Virginia where you pretty much have to be as sharp as humanly possible for the Spiders. And they didn't have the same buzz against the Finns, which they needed to get this win. So it's interesting how kids get up for one team that's really highly ranked and traditionally good and the history's there. But then Jacksonville is just as dangerous in our eyes at snapping towels, and you come out a little lackluster, bunch of turnovers in the first half, and Wallbaum, Doland, and 27 was
Tyler
Kapora just go crazy, and you're in this hole.
Yeah, Jacksonville's depth was really on display. Kyle just mentioned it. All those different names that were kind of stuff in the box score. Richmond's offense looked pretty disjointed, only putting up 4 goals in the first half. 3 of those 4 were a result of good rides or broken clears. So look, credit to the Richmond attack unit for riding hard, but there were really very few quality looks generated from a Richmond settled offensive set. A little bit concerning for Richmond moving forward. Surprising, coming off a 17-goal outburst against UVA. But again, just a testament to how good this Jacksonville team is. And to kind of add to Richmond's sloppiness, I think they had 10 turnovers in the first half, and that's never going to get it done against a conference opponent.
Yeah, especially at away with a slim chance of a comeback. But wasn't it? I could be wrong here, but Jacksonville's first win over Richmond.
Yeah, Jacksonville's first win over Richmond, which is kind of shocking. I don't know why. Also, not only their first win over Richmond, but their 10th win of the season, which marks their first ever 10-win season in program history. So a historic day for the Dolphins.
Yep, stock going through the roof for the Finns. Also, a team that took care of business and showed up where the Irish at Durham, which I picked Duke. I feel like I'm too harsh on the Blue Devils. I want to keep it neutral. I picked Duke to show up, but they really got to stop relying on like Brendan O'Neill to put up 10 goals a game. Their defense just looked completely lost, and Notre Dame came out of the gates just flying by guys.
Yeah, you want to talk about stock going through the roof. Notre Dame had a really slow start to the season, some really ugly games. They've kind of scratched and clawed their way back to 4-4 and back to ACC relevance. Seems like everybody and their mother has Notre Dame in the top 10 again. So we'll see. Really impressed with this win. Their offense looked great. Pat Cavanaugh had 3 and 4. Really just did a great job getting his teammates involved. But Duke's defense looked horrendous. Notre Dame's offensive players had no issue seemingly running by any Duke defender, short stick, long pole, whatever. Wheaton Jackaboy shows up with a hat trick. When Notre Dame gets
overdue for that dude.
Yeah, when Notre Dame gets some depth of scoring, which seems like they have in all of their wins, no coincidence there. They're a really hard team to beat. They've got one of the best goalkeepers in the country in Liam Eneman. And as we like to say on Snapping Towels, we've said it before, we'll say it again. Anything can happen with a hot goaltender. This Notre Dame team is a dangerous team right now. Yeah,
and on the other side, Adler played amazing too. It was really a game where you're like, you look back and think about the game and you honestly scratch your head on what went wrong for the Blue Devils. And it's just the consistency at which Notre Dame was able to score the pebble.
Yeah.
And Duke was able to score a lot too. Andrew McAdory, that kid, I think he's the best midi on Duke. He can get to his strong hand anytime. It looks like he gets shot out of a cannon. It's kind of a jackknife for them.
His ability to get topside with his right hand and release it as smoothly as he does on the run is really impressive. And I agree, Kyle. He's kind of emerging as their best midfielder. In my opinion.
I thought it was pretty evident from the first game they played. He just busted on the scene with this confidence that really took me back a little bit. I was like, whoa, this guy's a freshman. He's going to be a problem the next 4 years. But I think the fact that Brendan O'Neill had the game he did, and even Nakai Montgomery had a couple goals, Robertson, and then it kind of fell off.
Yeah, but honestly, dude, Duke needs bigger days from Lully, Dyson Williams, Nakai, and Robertson. In this game, I could pull up their box score, but if you're going to beat Notre Dame and you're putting up, Notre Dame is scoring 17 goals. I just think, guys like Robertson. Sorry, you can hear these New York sirens going on in my back. But Joe Robertson only having 1 assist. Sean Lully only having 1 assist.
Dude, Sean Lully has been benched.
And also Dyson Williams is not in the box score, period.
There was a complete cliff. Everyone fell off except for these kids from Long Island who showed up. And this kid Reed Landing, who the first time I saw him play, and we've seen pretty much every one of Duke games, was in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes left against Loyola. He starts doing his thing, and his third line starts getting shift after shift, and they scored 5 on Loyola.
They earned it
in a blowout. And now this kid's running with the first line late in games, and it's interesting. You're like,
well, you love to see that. First of all, you love to see a kid kind of just earn his way to get more minutes and more reps. And clearly, dropping in a hat trick against Notre Dame only bodes well for him moving forward. I will take that.
And an apple.
Yeah, 3-1. I will take back. Nakai Montgomery had a good game. He had 3-2.
Yeah, he was
also,
great.
He was drawing slides too. So he had a nice
McAdory
game.
did the same thing. Exactly. Like your top two middies have 6 goals and your best attackman has a hat trick. And then a role player has 3. No one else did anything. Cameron Mule had 1 goal on a man up. It's just like Sean Lully's been like kind of handcuffed. I bet he's kind of frustrated down there with what's going on, and he's not
I bet
able.
he is too. Yeah,
He has like no leash. It's like he's on like sparing shifts. Might play attack during the game. It's like they have no game plan. Like these kids don't know what's going to happen in the game. It's
yeah. It's
I
funny
don't
too,
get
because
it.
early on we were talking about this Lully Dyson Williams thing. Who's going to play where? Duke's got all these guys. Where are they going to put Robertson? Should Robertson
Yeah.
be coming out of the midfield? We kept saying Duke will figure it out. Duke will figure it out. It's all going to iron itself out. It really hasn't. So that's interesting to see. And on the flip side, you talk about Notre Dame's depth of scoring, whereas a month, 2 months ago, we were saying, where is Notre Dame's depth of scoring? Aside from Kavanaugh's 3 and 4, you got this new guy, Jake Taylor, on the scene, 2 and 2, coming off an 8-goal performance.
Yeah.
Wheaton Jackaboys with a hat trick. Chris Kavanaugh with 2 goals. Dobson with 2 goals, finally coming in here.
And then
Morrison,
4
Meyer.
guys with 1. 4 middies with 1.
Yeah. So
that's
Notre
what
Dame,
you got to see.
Notre Dame's a dangerous team right now. I think it's a different team than we were seeing late February and mid-March for sure.
We'll see. We don't want to jump the gun on that because the consistency just hasn't been there for Notre Dame. But if they can keep this up and get off the bus like they did at Duke, I think Notre Dame's definitely earns a top 10 spot.
More ACC action. UNC continues to experience their woes. Virginia absolutely smoked them.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Gray, 3-1. He's trying. It's
boring
tough.
Game. Really boring game.
UNC's offense, yeah. Their offense is nowhere to be found.
No help for Chris Gray. Only putting up 4 goals in 2022. Honestly, ever. You're never going to win a game putting up 4 goals. But in the shot clock era, only 4 goals is inexcusable. UVA had their way with UNC's weak, close defense, but it's clear they need Matt Moore back. They need their second quarterback.
Dude, yeah.
They're lacking the pop, I think, that they usually have.
It's gonna be interesting. I don't know what transpired out there at Richmond when he went down. It's iffy. Hopefully, snapping towels praise. We could see him for a Memorial Day run from the Who's.
Yeah, another ACC team that took it on the chin last night. Cuse hosting Cornell.
What
Cuse
a game,
big in this
though.
game.
They didn't really take it on the chin. Both teams were taking it on the chin.
That's true.
It was
Both
a slugfest in upstate New York, which is what the faithful up there loves to see. Yeah, I mean, Cuse jumped out to a massive lead, and it was interesting because if Cuse has gone down that many points early in games this year, probably more than they would like, but you never think they're going to come back.
No, there was never any life in them after those big deficits against Maryland.
They might put
Virginia.
A couple back.
Yeah, there was just never any life in them.
Cornell never felt out. We're like, they're a machine. They always continue to. They're just there. It was like it got to like 7-4, and then it was 8-5, and then it's like Cornell kept trying. It was like every goal Cuse had, Cornell would kind of respond with a couple, and then it was like slowly they chopped away, ending up tying it up. I think there were 7 ties in the game, which was kind of crazy. But yeah, a slugfest up at the Dome, and Gary, Petro, Busick, it was electric.
Great broadcast. You had Ryan Boyle and our boy Anish on the call. Also, was really enjoying, honestly, seeing a lot of in huddle cameras.
Yeah. I'm sure Petro loved that.
Yeah, no, Petro was on display last night.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm here for it. Like, as a fan of the game, please bring me into those huddles.
No, I
But
love it.
Cornell is just so deep. It's pretty impressive. They got a lot of guys that can bury the rock.
Just all
Mainly
good
last night.
players, just all
Yeah,
solid, good players that can handle and make plays. And you really saw it down the stretch when they needed to come through on possessions. You saw a composed Connor Busick calling the right timeouts when he needed to, drawing up plays, and they were capitalizing off the timeouts. Like nothing better. If you could like plan an end of a game comeback, it was pretty much flawless. And
also, Cornell's attack combined for 19 points, which is
yeah,
pretty
CJ
astounding.
Curse, probably my favorite Curse brother. The goalie's next, but I think CJ is tremendously slick and skilled at the attack. And it's pretty much he's the quarterback. And John Piatelli, whose name I'll never forget after last night because he had like 100 goals and Anish was freaking out. But he kind of plays the finisher. It's like the old Batman and Robin. You got Curse and Piatelli that are going to go in the confident bunch too from Cornell. But a surprising thing early in the first quarter is Erlin got pulled, playing his brother who coaches at Q's.
Yeah.
He misses 7 in a row, and Busick with no hesitation pulled him out and sent the backup in who had a great 3 quarters of play.
I can respect that move, and I think it's safe to say Erlen will be right back between the pipes for the next game. I mean, again, I'm not in the huddle. I'm not at practice today up in Ithaca, but I would be willing to bet that their stalwart goaltender is going to be back in his starting spot the next game. But sometimes, as a keeper, if you're just not seeing it that night or that day, particularly in the dome where it's just a different atmosphere, different background, that whole thing. Pop in a new goalie, give your team some life. I loved the move. I think it was made at the right time. At times that can be made a little too late. But to do it when he did it, I think is a huge credit to Connor Busick. I'm loving this Cornell team.
Wyatt Kanoosh. Kanushed. Wyatt Kanushed.
Is that honorable mention all name?
It's up there. And then Kelleher slamming one in overtime to put the nail in the coffin.
High to low, just like we teach them.
Absolutely, and it's textbook because they get the face off, call a timeout, drop a play late in the shot clock, get a slide,
get a great look out of the midfield.
It's just Petro's, like, it's not Petro's fault, but he is the defensive coach. It's just errors that they're hurting themselves. It's like Cornell wasn't beating them. They had a particularly difficult time with razor picks last night. But also it was like the one to tie it was a GLE kind of dodge and pull out, and the guy didn't commit to go to underneath. And there the Cuse defenseman is with that hedge we talked about a couple weeks ago. Easy bang back pipe and just a tap in, and the guy's in no man's land with a 6-foot pole trying to pick one off right in front of the crease. It's not going to happen. It's like you got to either commit or stay. And if you commit, you got to get your stick on the gloves so that pass can't be made and someone's got to get down the backside, or you got to stay and trust your defenseman on not letting him go underneath. So it was a tough situation, and you just hated to see it coming out of the inside the huddle cam. It was like, that just shot up this whole defense, and then it's just a simple little hedge that he didn't need to. He just gets beat back pipe. It was unfortunate, but I was stoked for the Big Red. It was.
You'd like to see a team like Syracuse. I think in kind of normal times with the athletes that they're used to having, to be able to stay in that situation.
There wasn't a need to go. Like
exactly.
The kid was never. It was just a brain lapse. Also, this kid on Q's, I think his number's 28. I don't know his name, but he kind of plays their third defenseman behind Brett Kennedy and the big dude with the beard, who I think's like, an average defender. I think he's hyped up because he has this outrageously long beard. He looks like a man out there, and this kid has his head always down. Like the back of the mesh is up. And I don't know what the debate is between the stick being up or down when you're playing. I know some guys have it down, some guys have it up. I can't get on board with the guys that have the cradle facing down. It's like a look thing. I'm like, dude, you weren't even near picking off that pass just off your stick position. Like just because you have the stick down. I don't get it. It's like when like football kids like play lacrosse for the first time. It's like how they hold the stick. And it's not convenient for GBs or nuggets out of the air. So
surprising with those two coaches too.
But Petro was a stick down guy too.
Off ball.
I think so. It was like a back in the day thing. It was very common, and it's slowly like transition. We got to get a defenseman on here to talk about it. We didn't bring it up in our interview, but next defenseman we have on, we'll have to get the clarity on what's the pros and cons there.
Agreed. Agreed.
Talking about defensemen, let's send it over our interview with Colin Hinton.
Joining us on Snapping Towels is close defenseman from the Jacksonville Dolphins, Colin Hinton. He was the 88th overall pick in the NLL draft by the Halifax Thunderbirds, a second-team All-SoCon performer last year, and was named a mid-season All-American by Inside Lacrosse this year. Colin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so talk to us a little bit how you got involved in lacrosse and how'd you end up at Jacksonville?
So way back when, probably when I was in like third grade, I was big into kind of like soccer, basketball, and a little bit of baseball. And my neighbor at the time where I was living coached and played lacrosse at the Bullis School, Bethesda. I'm sure you're kind of aware of that school. And he had some old lacrosse gear he was getting rid of, so he just kind of passed it over to me. And ever since then, I kind of just fell in love with the sport. Just been playing it since probably third, fourth grade, and never looking back.
Awesome. So then in high school, you ended up being a pretty big recruit and decided to go to Maryland. And talk to us about that and how that went and why you choose to hop in the transfer pool.
So my whole kind of playing for Black Wolf and the early recruiting process back when I was a freshman in high school, it was pretty crazy to think that I was just starting my high school career at St. John's, and I was already looking at colleges before even stepping foot on a varsity lacrosse game in high school. So I mean, looked at Syracuse, Hopkins, and Maryland, and I thought Maryland was a good fit, being close to home. Turned out didn't really enjoy it too much. Hopped in the transfer portal, was looking at like High Point and Jacksonville, and just kind of fell in love with Jacksonville. Being kind of farther away from home is what I was looking for, and warm weather in Florida. Coach Galloway and all the players in the team when I went on my visit were really, had high words and a lot of great things to say about Coach Galloway and the teammates, and everyone's really close together, and that's what I was looking for. So it's one of the reasons why I chose Jacksonville.
Sweet.
Hell yeah. It looks like it's been a home run so far. Talk to us a little bit about the veteran presence on this team. Like, you look up and down this roster, you look at the box scores, it's filled with fifth years, transfers, true seniors. Like, do you think that's played a big role in the first 10-win season in Jacksonville history?
I think it has. I mean, we've got a lot of guys coming from different programs like Max Wallbaum, Tyler Kapora, Luke Milliken. Like they've seen it all at other programs as well. So kind of having other knowledge of how other leaders at other programs lead have really helped us in this year especially, and it's just kind of kept our focus on what we have to do come Monday on a meet Monday practice, or Thursday or Friday walkthrough, stuff like that. So having leadership roles from guys that haven't been here all 4 or 5 years has been a big factor, I think, in our success.
Sweet. I saw a Twitter video actually that Jacksonville put out about, it was like a camera practice cam kind of thing. Galloway had some orange juice that morning. He was feeling it and all over the field and telling guys he loved him after dodges, stuff like that. A lot of good energy. What do you see from him? Is this like something he's riding the wave of how well you guys have been doing, or is it something that he brings like first day of the fall kind of energy?
It's definitely first day of the fall kind of energy. He's always there to coach us, get on us, but he's always loving and caring and tell us when we do stuff like well, or if he's really pleased with how we're playing. So I think that's very, very helpful in our success, as well as just everyone kind of has that mindset of, hey, I can kind of get on you and coach you up. as well as just being loving and caring and telling you when you did great. So I think that's very big for our program.
Yeah, we love a player's coach here on Snapping Towels. Cam and I talked at length last episode. I think it was after the Richmond game. I think
After the Richmond Virginia game.
We noticed it. No, it was one of your home games we caught on TV, and I think something that stood out maybe just as much as your play was these Adirondack chairs you guys got going on the sidelines. Talk to us about what you got to do to get a ticket to sit in one of those, and what's the deal there?
So you have to be a part of the 88 member club. It's kind of something that they raise money for the program and stuff like that. I know a lot of the alumni love to sit right on the field. A lot of the parents do too. So it's a pretty cool atmosphere when you come down to Jacksonville. You get to kind of sit on those Adirondack chairs, and players, alumni and parents, love to kind of yell at you when you're on the field and encourage you. It's a cool atmosphere having those fans up close to you.
Maybe some boosters.
Yeah.
Yeah, some NLI deals coming your way with those Adirondack chairs.
Yeah.
It's actually he's referring to a couple weeks ago when you guys played High Point. It felt like we had seen you guys like on a few home games, but this particular camera angle was rather wide. It was kind of highlighting those Adirondacks the whole game, and we were loving it. But yeah, want to hear your perspective. Going from Maryland to Jacksonville, you've had a chance to play for two different coaches. Coach Tillman's kind of working his way on to seems like the coaching Mount Rushmore, right? Racking up just incredible seasons year after year. And then going to another big name in the game of lacrosse, a Hall of Fame goalkeeper in Galloway, now making his name as a coach. Would love to hear just some similarities, some differences between the two as they walk the sidelines.
Yeah, I think both coaches definitely have a winning mindset and are ready to go every day at practice. They're always getting on you, but encouraging you, which is awesome to have a coach that's really engraved to the game and just loves everything about it. I would say they both just eat, breathe, sleep lacrosse. That's all they do. They love it so much that they never want to miss a beat on it. But definitely some differences I'd say from transferring is having a younger coach. He definitely understands a younger college kid's lifestyle, as well as just always being there for you and kind of creating a connection with all the kids on the team and all the players, and just like I said, being there for you and just being loving and caring because you're far away from home.
Cool. Probably a pretty cool and unique perspective too, considering he's fresh out of the game, right? I mean, he's just playing pro lacrosse, just playing for Team USA pretty recently. To have that perspective of a guy that's played, modern day lacrosse has to be invaluable.
It is. I mean, we always get to kind of have Jordan Wolf talk to us and stuff like that, people he's played with and some great connections he's made. They always talk to us on Zoom or come in, talk to the team in the film room. So it's pretty awesome just having other guys that are, playing lacrosse just as much as he was, his entire career. It's pretty cool hearing their stories and how they made it and just how they keep grinding every day.
Yeah, going off guys that are always around your program, I see Chris Bachlitt's around a lot. What kind of impact has he had on the Finns this year, and what kind of message does he give you guys?
He kind of suffered a pretty crazy injury. I think it was a year ago. So he's kind of been around our program, always helping the offense with shooting camps and just coming in and talk to us, talk about lacrosse, talk about life, talk about everything that he's kind of been through. And it just kind of gives you another perspective of how things can go if anything bad were to happen. So it just kind of makes you kind of realize we're kind of in the moment. You got to live in the moment and not worry about what's going to happen, but make the most of it. So I think that's very helpful with a lot of the younger guys on the team, because I think some of the guys may take it for granted. So it's really just nothing you can take for granted in life.
Love that. So walk us through a day in the life of a fifth year at Jacksonville. What's your class schedule looking like? What's the food options?
Class schedule is usually in the evening time around 6, longer classes, 6 to 9, but usually wake up, go to lift, hang out in the locker room, just kind of, shoot stuff with some guys, talk to them, hang out, jokes and stuff like that, play music in the locker room. Head to practice, get home, stuff like that. But usually eating at the cafeteria when I'm at school. But on a Tuesday like this, Usually hit up my favorite sub shop down here, Sun Deli. A lot of the guys like it on the team, and just kind of hanging on the couch, get your feet up, and just hit the reset button midweek, which is awesome. Just get fired up for Wednesday.
Love that. What's your order at Sun Deli?
There's this it's like an Italian sandwich with egg salad, chips, and hot sauce. It's pretty dang good.
Damn.
It's interesting combo. It's called the Dewey.
Dewey.
Oh, he lost his internet.
Dude, you gotta get it. And I was like, I don't know, but fired up. I got it, and it's one of the best subs. Every guy on the team, that's their go-to.
Wow, my eyes are opened.
All right, well, Snapping Towels bucket list. Number 1 was sit in the Adirondack chairs for a Dolphins game, and now number 2 is to smash a Dewey.
Yeah, so it sounds like
it.
on Tuesdays you just snap it around in the locker room and kick back. That's awesome. That's the best way to hit the reset for me.
It is.
What's the hottest song in the locker room?
Hottest song in the locker room is definitely Black Betty by Ram Jam. The boys get buzzing when we play that song. So it's a fire me up song.
Love that. Absolutely.
What so in the fall, I'm guessing in season it kind of slims down. But what do you like to do in your free time when in the fall when you get a weekend off or something like that? What do you like to do?
There's a couple options. A lot of people like going golfing. I like just kind of sitting on the beach with some guys, hanging out. A lot of the guys live close by. I live like a block from the beach, so just heading up there, bringing my chair, hanging out with some guys, going in the ocean, throwing the football around, stuff like that, cornhole, bocce ball, you name it, we kind of do it. It's probably my favorite thing to do in the fall. Yeah.
Some cold pops and some co-eds.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can imagine.
I can. Well, dude, this has been awesome. One more question. So you guys are going to make a run at this thing, as Snapping Towels has been predicting since I think week 1. Ideal scenario, you end up seeing your Terps in the tournament, or would you like to wait until the Memorial Day weekend to catch them?
Any chance I get, whatever I get, I'll take. I'm not going to be too greedy about it, but I'd love to see them on the field and just kind of get after it. No, I think a lot of guys have been feeling that with opposing teams and where they've transferred from, but boys are fired up. Yeah,
I bet. Yeah, one other thing, we spoke to Dolan earlier in the year. Had a hell of an interview with him. We were talking locker room guys. He was saying Bo Hunter. Who's your favorite locker room guy?
Favorite locker room guy? I would agree with Bo, but his locker buddy Daniel May. Great locker room guy.
So the two of them, you just got to go to their corner to have a couple snaps.
Yeah. They love it. They love it.
That's awesome, dude. What an interview. This has been a lot of fun, and we really appreciate you taking some time out of your day off and hanging out with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
6, be good.
Thank you.
That was a good time sitting down with 6. You caught him off.
A pleasure.
You caught him off guard at the end. Dropping the 6 on him. He liked that. He was laughing.
I don't think he knew
that we've been calling him 6 all season. He clearly needs to start listening to Snapping Towels.
Right. And just how plugged into the Jacksonville Dolphins we've been this year. What a pleasure. Kid's been absolutely tearing it up all year. Don't see any reason why he won't continue to do so. Mm-hmm. Love that he will be playing in the NLL, and I see him with a bright future in the PLL as well.
Absolutely. He's a stake, and he really owns every matchup that Galloway asks him to play, which is a guy that is crucial to a successful team. If you can have a guy take away the leading point scorer on any given team, it's a bonus. And it's also interesting to hear a story about a guy that wasn't really loving the big time action at Maryland and wanted to get a little further away from Maryland and kind of write his own script. And I give him a serious nod for that.
Totally agree. Love the transfer portal. We're huge fans of player mobility here on Snapping Towels. A coach or an athletic director can leave tomorrow. Why can't players do the same? And we're just really glad we are where we are in 2022. Yeah, Hinton's been a top performer in every game he's laced up this year. Kyle, who's your top performer from the weekend?
I got a St. Bonnie's keeper, second in save percentage in the country, Brett Dobson.
The goalie love continues on snapping towels.
Always. We love big numbers in the cage. It was a meat grinder of a fight down there. It was Monmouth versus St. Bonaventure, 6-4 finals. The Bonnies got the win.
6-3.
6-3, a stalemate.
Don't do that to Dobson.
Yeah, I know. He had more than that.
Absolute rock fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't imagine the weather was too. It looked gray as hell at the game. And the kid's a stud. Probably going to be a Team Canada goalie in the future. Reminds me a little bit of Dylan Ward, but he's not he's not as tall, I'd say, but he's extremely quick hands and pretty much on shots before the guy even thinks about shooting it. It's a really impressive display of goaltending from the St. Bonnies. They have a stud in net.
Exciting. The Bonnies are 8-2 this year. Haven't had themselves a nice year.
Yeah, they're rolling.
I'm going to go the other end of the field. Devin McLean for Brown. 4 goals in a huge 12-10 win over Penn. To drop in 4 goals in this game to keep yourself in the mix in the Ivy League, and for a potential NCAA tournament bid, that warrants a top performer on snapping towels for sure.
I love it. Yeah, I mean we've been waiting to get the Bears on here, so I'm glad we got to get an interview.
Speaking of NCAA tournament implications, let's talk about the ACC. Like, is this the year? I mean, typically it seems like the ACC gets everybody in. Yeah. Is this the year they get only 3 teams in? Maybe 2, but probably 3.
I think so. I think 3's right. I don't see 4 at all. I do see 2 though. Virginia and Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean Notre Dame's sitting at 4-4 while Duke's at 9-5.
Well, Duke's played like 100 games. That's what makes it look different. Everyone see that and be like, oh, it's Duke. It's like, okay, well they've played triple the games. I don't get it. It's like scheduling's insane. I don't understand how teams can play half a season more than another team because they just don't scrimmage in the off season. Like, who cares?
It's bizarre.
It's so bogus, and it's like the only college sport that does it that way. It's completely rogue. But yeah, I think 3 would be generous. Put Duke in there.
UNC's out.
Yeah,
They're out.
Yeah,
Syracuse is most likely out. I mean, Syracuse has 3 games left. They have UNC, Virginia, Notre Dame. If they run the table in those games and finish 7-7, I guess they have a chance. I think the likelihood of them going 3-0 in those games is pretty low, but
yeah, I mean, something quick I didn't mention in the Q's Cornell game because we were just going off about Cornell because it was an insane comeback in a sick game. Brendan Curry and Dordovic showed out.
Oh, they're filthy. They're as good as anybody.
Everyone else had pretty quiet games. Their defense is pretty subpar, but those kids, if they were on like any other top team, it would be a clear favorite to have a natty run. But anyway, yeah, back to the leagues and the Riff Sesh. I think the ACC is shockingly down this year when I on the first episode was saying that it was going to be a final ACC Final Four.
What was Cam saying first episode?
Cam was a little higher on the Patriot League. He was saying that it was going to be a 3-team Final Four Patriot League, which was surprising.
Don't do that to me.
No, Cam's been high on the Ivy League since day one. So kudos to him for foreseeing this mud fight of a league transpire in front of us.
But speaking of the Patriot League, while I think it is slightly down this year in terms of level of play, top to bottom, this conference is wide open right now.
Thank God they have a tournament. Like, all these conferences should have tournaments.
I know.
It's insane because then it leaves you like there could be 3 teams that get in from the ACC if there's a tournament. If Duke wins a tournament, then you have 3 in.
I think their justification, though, or their response to you is, well, we have scheduled the extra conference games. They have the repeats. Like, Syracuse gets to play.
Doesn't matter.
Virginia again. I mean, it
so
could end up being
what
similar
if they
to
win?
the tournament.
What if they win?
If Syracuse runs the table, they're 4-7 right now. If they beat Notre Dame, Virginia, and UNC and go 7-7, I think they get in.
What if they just beat UNC and then they're in the tournament and they make a run?
Oh, well, if they get
No.
sure.
In the ACC tournament, and then they have you wouldn't want to see Syracuse in the ACC tournament.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I think Virginia would. Virginia absolutely buried them. I think Virginia would welcome
with
that
Matt Moore
with
out
open
and
arms.
with Matt Moore out, we'll see.
Yeah, but the Patriot League is it's kind of crazy how wide open it is. I mean, BU is the number one team in the league right now at
They haven't
5-0.
played. They just haven't played anybody.
5-0 in conference. They did backload their schedule with the three best teams. Like they go to Loyola this weekend, to Lehigh next weekend, and then they finish the season hosting Army. So a lot's going to be told in the next 3 weeks. But this is a conference with a tournament. Top team gets to host, as it should be.
I love it.
The fight for that number 4, 3, and 4 spot is pretty wide open. I mean, Bucknell, if they get in, they're due for an upset. I've been saying that for several weeks now, but they keep losing these heartbreakers. They lost to Lehigh by 1 this past weekend.
Yeah.
Lost to Army by 1 a couple weeks ago, put Loyola on the ropes. Bucknell's a solid squad.
No. Loyola was never on the ropes. It was over.
I think Bucknell was winning in the second half.
No. It was they scored 2 at the end of the game to make it look closer than it was. Loyola was up 4.
Okay, fine.
It was in control. It wasn't on the ropes. But no, they play well, and they show up in league. These teams just know each other so well in conference. It's you can't think you're going to not show up and just roll through a top 4 team in the league. They're gritty, not a lot of fans in the stands, not easy games to get up for, but games you have to get up for.
Weather can be brutal.
Anyways, it's going to be a great playoff in the Patriot League. I'm excited to watch it. The Patriot League playoff and the SoCon playoff. I got my tickets.
Yeah, no, those 2 conference tournaments are going to be absolutely electric. I think the Patriot League level of play is slightly down this year, but that doesn't mean it's not a really competitive league. I think it's going to be extremely fun to watch. Kyle, last week we were we were hard on some of the pollsters. I don't want to name any names, but I'd love to hear your top 10 right now.
Ooh, put me on the spot. I got Maryland, Princeton, Georgetown. Cornell, Virginia, Yale, Penn, Generous, Jacksonville, Duke, Notre Dame. That's the party. You got to think matchups. I had to put Penn in front of Jacksonville. I think their talents, even though they dropped 1 to Brown, I think their talent is immense. They've showed it this season, even though out of conference, especially. So you think matchups, which teams can beat which. This is who I got.
So we've got some overlap.
Give me yours.
We have some overlap, particularly in the top half. The back half definitely looks a little bit different. We agree. We have a consensus agreement on our top 3. Number 1, Maryland. Number 2, Princeton. Number 3, Georgetown.
I mean, Maryland looks we shouldn't even have a show.
I know.
Right. They're about to shut the doors. Out the window. Yeah. They're about to close down the shop at Snapping Towels. There's nothing to talk about if they go undefeated and win the championship, which could happen. They're a well-oiled machine. But
yeah, they're extremely good.
You gotta lace them up, though.
You got to lace them up. Their transfers are really doing it for them. Obviously, Wisnauskas is incredible and is now the leading point scorer in Maryland history, which is an unbelievable feat, an absolutely unbelievable feat. We agree on our top 3. Okay. Maryland, number 1, Princeton 2, Georgetown 3. One thing that's interesting is if you look at most of these polls, they have the Princeton, Georgetown inverted. They've got Georgetown 3, Princeton 2. I think you're splitting hairs, but Princeton beat Georgetown. So I'm putting Georgetown at number 2. It wasn't handily.
Really?
No, I think it was 10-8.
Yeah, but it wasn't a burner. It was a good game, but I thought Princeton was
I think Princeton was the better team.
They had a day.
Princeton was the better team.
Yeah.
It was early in the year though, and I don't think everybody was as hype on Princeton as we are now. And honestly, it could have been a little bit of a letdown game for Georgetown.
Yeah.
They'd just beaten Penn, which was kind of supposed to be the early season Super Bowl for both of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Maryland 1, Princeton 2, Georgetown 3, Yale 4. I believe you had Cornell at 4.
I did.
Cornell 5 for me.
I had Virginia at 5.
Yeah, we'll get to the who's. Virginia, you're confusing me, Kyle. Cornell 5, Jacksonville 6. I'm giving the nod to the Finns, sitting at 10-2 right now, absolutely taking care of business. I think that Duke win goes a long way for me. Virginia 7. I think Virginia fully healthy is number 2 or number 3 team in the country for me. But right now, I think they're pretty vulnerable. PD LaSala is not healthy. You keep hearing stories about PD in a walking boot or a sling on Tuesday and then strapping up on Saturday. Matt Moore being down. They've had some injuries on the defensive end. Their close D looks a little vulnerable right now. So Virginia 7. I'm keeping Penn in the top 10 despite being 4-4 and dropping a stunning upset to Brown. Penn is number 8 for me. I've got Notre Dame at 9. I said earlier in the show, everybody and their mother has Notre Dame back in the top 10. That includes Cam Williams. I like Notre Dame. I think they're white hot right now. I think their offense is really tough to stop. And again, anything can happen with a hot goaltender. Liam Eneman is an absolute stud.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say he's going to be a 8 to 10 year staple in the PLL. Like he's that type of goaltender to me. If
Team
he chooses
USA.
to be. Yeah. Like he's a Team USA goalkeeper. And to round out the top 10, I'll give the Patriot League some love and give the Army Black Knights some love. Our Army's been really impressive this year. They had one kind of hiccup against Lehigh, but Lehigh's a really good team right now, sitting at 5-0 in the Patriot League. But Army's really good, led by Brendan Nichtern, a Tewaaraton candidate, a legit Tewaaraton candidate. And I think in any other year, he could win it. I think Wisnauskas right now is kind of running away with it, just with the team that he's leading and what he's doing. But yeah, that's my top 10. Army rounds it out.
I love it. Well, this week's definitely going to have some implications on this list, and we'll see what happens. We got some Thursday night lacks, which is always a pleasure.
Finally. Haven't had it in about a month.
UVA, Duke, who do you got?
I'm going with Duke. Duke needs a win. Duke's desperate for a win. And I think Virginia's vulnerable right now. And coming off a short week with some health issues, I think Duke wins.
Yeah, I really like that too. To contrary you, I'm going to go Virginia. I was going to go Duke, but now I'm going Virginia. I'm going on the Schellenberger shoulders and Peyton Cormier. And I think those two are going to get it done with this lacking Duke defense. I think they're going to clean it up. I think it's going to be a slugfest.
I think they're going to clean it up.
I like Duke winning. Like if I was a gambling man, I'd probably put my coin on Duke, but I'm going to say Virginia goes into Durham and takes it.
Okay. Yale Brown.
I got
Yale. Brown. Okay. So Brown can't do it. Brown can't go back.
I got Yale.
Heavyweights.
This is kind of one of those things where Yale sees what happened last week and they don't take them lightly.
True.
Penn took them lightly. It was one of those things. They're kind of on the board now as a team you can't take lightly, as we've known that at Snapping Towels all season. The rest of the Ivy League has been woken up by the Brown Bears.
I'm going to agree with you there. One thing to Yale's credit, they haven't really taken anybody lightly this year. They had that one kind of hiccup against UMass, but I think UMass is pretty good. Yeah, right. Okay, I think UMass is pretty good. They beat UMass in overtime, but they just absolutely buried Dartmouth 23-6. I think Yale's humming right now, and I think Yale wins this game as well.
Yeah, Yale's got great depth offensively. Brown, I think, has one line of midfielders that I'm not in love with, so I think Yale takes the cake up in Rhode Island.
Huge upstate matchup, massive game. Army at Cornell. Maybe the game of the weekend.
I got Cornell. I think they're coming out. They're going to come out a lot stronger than they did at the Dome. I think Erlin's going to get back in cage, get back to business, saving the ball at a high clip. I think Big Red takes this takes this win off Cuse and just builds on it.
I'm going to go with Army. I think it's going to be a really close game, an absolute slugfest. I'm envious. I'd love to be playing in this game. I've had the pleasure of playing at both of these stadiums. Playing at Cornell is quite fun. Nothing like playing the Cornell Big Red. Army is really, really strong offensively. I think Brendan Nichtern is as good as there is at the attack position
like
this year.
5 or 6 points a game.
Yeah, I think he really is as good as there is at the attack position this year. Some people love Schellenberger, Wisnauskas, hard not to, but just in terms of production and giving really good close defenseman issues, this kid Brendan Nichtern is pretty impressive. I think he leads them to a huge W that launches Army into guaranteed automatic qualifier territory.
Yeah. We'll see. BU at Loyola, going to Maryland. Who do you got? Patriot League, big tilt in the Patriot League.
This is a huge tilt in the Patriot League. Huge tilt for BU and for both teams. BU sitting at 5-0 in the Patriot League. They're the number one team in the league right now. They're fighting to host this thing. Loyola is hanging on to that 4th spot for dear life. Loyola needs this win. I'm going with the Hounds.
I'm going with the Hounds too. No surprise there. I've been picking the Hounds pretty much in every game we do pick them because I have faith in the talent they have.
They could be playing the Whip Snakes and Kyle would take the Hounds.
That's not true. I'm realistic and always give honest opinions here on Snapping Towel, nothing biased. They have yet to play a complete game. And it's coming around that kind of year where they have BU, quick turnaround, Thursday, Georgetown. This week last year, turned the season around for the Dogs. I'm going with Loyola against BU and a repeat against Georgetown to have a big week to really put themselves back in the race for the NCAA tournament, put the name back on the map.
Splitting hairs here, but it's actually a Tuesday game. So 3 days later.
No, I thought it was Thursday.
No, it's a Tuesday game. 3 days later, they go to Georgetown, which is insane. It's going to be an epic game.
It's a Tuesday. Wow. Tuesday game. Yeah. So it's a quick turnaround. They're going down. It's like a 30-minute drive. It's probably the easiest away game you could have, but yeah.
Before we move into our next pick, if that game is on Flow TV, if the Loyola Georgetown game is on Flow TV.
It's on CBS Network.
All right, let's go. Let's go. Snapping Towels will have eyes all over that game. Can't wait. But first, Loyola's got to take care of business against the Terriers of Boston University. Syracuse, UNC.
Cuse.
Syracuse at UNC.
I got Cuse. I think UNC's defense is going to be a high-scoring game. Bet the over.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Because
both defenses are a little bit lacking. I think UNC's is lacking a lot more than Cuse's. And I think Cuse is playing with FUP at the X. And the way Bobby Gavin's kind of started playing, I think Cuse is prime for an ACC win against UNC.
I'm going to have to differ with you here. I like Cuse right now too, but I think Chris Gray, it's going to mean a lot to him to kind of finish up his senior campaign with a bang, whether they make the NCAA tournament or not. He's going to want to rack up some wins and some points. He's chasing the Division I all-time points record. I think he's going to get it here in the next couple of weeks. I think he puts on a show against the Syracuse close defense, and UNC comes away with a win here. Coach Bresci's going to get a W.
And a dab in the post-game huddle.
Most likely.
All right, I got Cuse, Gary, Petro. FU, Harvard, Penn.
Penn. Penn's taking care of business the rest of the way. They have no choice.
It's gonna be like it's
buzzsaw for Harvard here.
Yeah, it sucks seeing a team that just got upset in your own league. Harvard's good. They're gonna be in it early, but I think Penn takes care of business, not losing 2 at home against the bottom of the barrel in the Ivy League, which is a good barrel. It's not bad be at the bottom of the Ivy League. But Cameron, what's your marquee matchup that everyone's got to tune in to check out?
I said it a few minutes ago. I think game of the weekend, Army at Cornell. I think it's going to be incredibly physical. These two programs pride themselves on physicality. and both have some really fun players to watch on offense as well. So I think, this game has huge NCAA tournament implications. I think, honestly, whoever wins this game, it's probably more important for Army for NCAA tournament implications, but whoever wins this game is automatic AQ no matter what happens the rest of the way, in my personal opinion. I think Cornell might already be in that territory.
9-1.
Yeah, Cornell's probably already in that territory. If Army wins this game, I think their fate is sealed for the NCAA tournament. Huge game. Can't wait to watch it.
I love that. I'm going to go. See, this happens to me every single time. I want to go Duke UVA because traditionally it's a banger. Also, just to say, I think that Army Cornell game is like a 13-12 kind of gritty, a lot of saves, a lot of good defense being played, not a lot of highlights. You're going to see maybe a step down or two that find a corner, but one of those games you could watch and kind of not really remember what happened, but just the fact that
I think there's going to be a lot of good offense.
A lot
of good offense. I don't think there's going to be a ton of eye-popping plays, but a lot of really good offense. I think you can definitely count on in that game. Kyle,
going UVA Duke. I want the highlights. I want the stars to show out. I want O'Neal to go off. I want Schellenberger to go off. It's a huge ACC matchup. The ACC's been a little down. I think Duke has been really licking their chops to get back in the front end of the top 10.
Kind of put up or shut up time for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, and this win would be huge at Klockner. Or no, sorry, it's in Durham.
Yeah, no, it's at Duke. I think it's awesome, and this is a standalone game. Huge game for both programs. Both are.
They're gonna have the crew, Carr, Quint,
no doubt,
Cotter.
Let's hope Anish is on the call.
Hey, I like.
I'm not going to slight Cotter, but let's hope Anish is on the call. Both of these teams right now are kind of sitting in positions that I don't think anybody thought they would be, including themselves. Is a little bit in no man's land. Just haven't really found a groove. Virginia obviously has had some issues with some injuries, but I think Duke is desperate for this win right now.
Yeah,
desperate.
So with that, I'm excited to tune in Thursday on a standalone with the crew. It's going to have a Final Four-like atmosphere down there in Durham, and then to strap up and kind of watch a slugfest Army Cornell. Cameron, this has been a great episode 11. Shout out to Colin Hinton. He's going to be doing his thing this week.
Appreciate you coming on, Six.
Always a pleasure to talk to a Finn.